Well, welcome back to Allison Customs. Today we are going to show you how to bleed the brakes on a vehicle. And it doesn't matter whether it's a go-kart, a forklift, a car, a truck. If it has hydraulic brakes, the process is essentially the same. In this particular vehicle, the master cylinder is right behind this wall, about right here. We have two brakes, one on each of the front wheels, main drive wheels. And they're drum brakes, so they do take quite a volume of fluid. And in a recent video, I rebuilt the wheel cylinders. So in fact, the wheel cylinders are completely bone dry, full of air. So it's going to take a little bit of work to get all this fluid through this thing. I'm going to start out with a vacuum bleeder, and that's just to try and draw the fluid through as quickly as possible to make the process take less time. It can totally be done pure manually. The thing you have to watch, like on, if it's a go-kart, a car, doesn't matter, the master cylinder has to stay full of fluid. If you let it run out of fluid, the whole process has to be started over. So do a little work, check your master cylinder. If you're working on a car, you're going to have a second person if you're not going to do straight vacuum bleeding, if you're going to do the manual bleed. I have found that vacuum bleeding does a great job to get most everything done, and then I like to do the manual bleed as I finish up the process. So just to me it gives a better, I find that I get a better pedal feel sooner. Maybe not, but that's my experience. Anyway, so I'm going to show you the different components real quick, talk about what we're going to do, and then we'll get started. The first thing we're going to be looking at is that wheel cylinder bleed. So we've got this bleed port right here. Hopefully that's coming through. And this is the furthest wheel cylinder from the master cylinder, so this is the one we want to work on first. So now we have the master cylinder right in here, and that cap just comes off. And we keep the fluid topped off in there. Keep the cap, it doesn't have to be tight, but just keep it on just to keep the dust out of there. And then, like I said, we have wheel cylinder on this side, another one over here, and then you can see this line that's closest to the wheel, that one comes in, that's directly from the master cylinder. Then this line goes out around the differential, comes back, feeds in on this side. So one thing you can do to kind of quicken the process is you can take that line off right there and draw fluid to that point so that the fluid will come in there, and you know you've got fluid that far. We still have to have fluid in that wheel cylinder and back out and over to this one. What I'm going to do is come over here, we'll pull that line loose, and I'm going to draw fluid all the way through all the lines up to here, then hook it back up, and then we'll do the actual wheel cylinders. Now we need a 7/16 inch wrench. Probably should use a line wrench here. I've had these off and on a couple times recently, so I know they're, while I had them tight, I also know they're not welded or not welded, but not rusted into the port or into the threads. Brakes are a sealed hydraulic system, and that means that if you're getting air in the system, you're not going to have brake pressure at the wheel cylinder and on these drum brakes at the wheel cylinder. So what we're going to do is put a vacuum on here, and then you can start to see fluid coming up, a lot of air. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, I got 15 inches of vacuum right now, 15 inches of vacuum, and as it's drawing fluid and air, that vacuum is dropping off slowly. And what we want is to get rid of all those little air bubbles. Now, we may not get rid of all of them in this one method, but you can see our cup is filling up and the fluid's nice and clean. It's because every one of the parts on this thing now have been cleaned and replaced or rebuilt. with the exception of the master cylinder, which I just cleaned out and then ran fresh fluid through it a couple times until I had it to where it was bringing only good clean fluid. So you can see we're starting to not have any more air bubbles, and our tank is filling up slowly. So I'm going to release the vacuum, take that loose, hook this back up. Now of course I just introduced air, but we know we've got a good clean line. We're getting fluid. The only place that fluid could be coming from is the master cylinder. So as soon as we're done here tightening this up, we'll go put some new fluid in the master cylinder. It is never a good idea to reuse fluid. Even if it's brand new and it looks perfectly clean, you don't know for sure what contaminants it's picking up on its way through the system. That looks brand new. Open it up and I can see little particles of dirt. See if you can see those. See the little black speckles in there? Those weren't there before we started. So even though we have a system that I know was clean, that's too much. We don't want to risk putting those back into our system and damaging anything. Okay, our cup is clean. See that? Now we're going to put an adapter on here that lets us plug directly into that nipple. Now, just as a side note, when I got this, I put this particular one on, I pulled on it, and I was getting like 15 inches of vacuum, but no fluid was running through. Took it off, and the vacuum didn't go away. And what I realized was this adapter, the hole didn't go all the way through. So, you know, something to check. This is a Harbor Freight tool. I have a really expensive version of it, and it doesn't work as well as this one does. So keep things in mind. You know, use what works for you. But, let's see. What we'll do is pull about 15 inches of vacuum again. If it'll let me. I'll only let me get about 12. And we're going to crack this loose. You can see that vacuum dropping off. It says it's pulling air and fluid into the system. Here's some fluid starting to come our way. We're going to lock it off. And we'll check our fluid because we know we're pulling fluid because that vacuum is dropping. Do this again. We're still holding about 3 inches of vacuum there, so we'll vacuum, get this built back up.
And crack this loose. Hopefully you can see that the needle's dropping. Yes.
Still going to use our vacuum cup. Put it on there. The difference is we're going to pump the pedal. And this would be if you were in a car or on a go-kart or something, you'd probably have to have a second person. And what you want to do is pump this 6 to 10 times, and you should start to feel a little bit of pressure build up. And I am. In fact, I can even feel the shoes starting to move in there. And then hold the pedal down and crack loose your bleed, and the pedal should start to go to the floor, and you see all that fluid starting to move. Once it's to the floor, close that bleed, pump it again. Crack it loose. No air that time, but we're getting plenty of fluid. Again, this one's easy for me to do by myself. Pump it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm pulling as hard as I can on that brake pedal. And I'll let this loose. See just a little bit of air there. Tighten that up when the pedal hits the bottom. One more time. No new air. So I'm going to snug this up good. We're going to do the other side. Pretty good run of air in there. You can see this wheel moving a little bit. That's that brake grabbing and releasing. So we know it's starting to work. I got good pedal. It builds up a little bit after 2 or 3 pumps, but for the most part it's nice and tight. I'm not getting a lot of new air or anything. Let me check the fluid. Let's pump it again. And I'm pulling hard on this brake pedal, just to give you an idea. We got just a little bit of air that time. Our container is just about full. We'll look down in there, we can see stuff floating in there. Some black particles, and it's kind of dark colored. So even with everything we've done as far as cleaning this out, we're still getting some dirt through it. There you go. See these particles down in the bottom. It's just something, if we tried to reuse the fluid, that would end up back in our system. And then we've kind of wasted all of our efforts because we're just introducing contaminants to the system. See this wheel moving every time that brake catches. The pedal's not getting soft. It doesn't like pump up anymore like you pump it 3 or 4 or 5 times. It doesn't get better, so we're pretty much where we ought to be with it. And just for good measure, I'm going to go over here and bleed this side one more time.
Just to make sure.
Nice and clean. All right, we're done. Make sure these are tight. Normally you'd want to put a dust cap on there. I don't have any, so that'll have to be something for another day. Let's check this fluid one last time. Yeah, there's maybe 3 or 4 tiny little particles left in there. I don't know if I can get those in the camera. See that? Tiny little, smaller than a grain of sand for sure, so I think we did good. Got it good and clean. I'll give you an idea, this canister is is just an empty one. Holds 12 fluid ounces, and it is probably fuller than what it would have been new. It's right up to here somewhere. So this is just the old fluid that I've been dumping out after each of the after each time we bled it. So clean up our tools, and that's it, guys. That's how you bleed brakes. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether it's a forklift, it's a car, it's a modern truck or car. I'm doing drum brakes here, but disc brakes bleed the same way. you pump the pedal, you relieve the furthest one from the wheel, from the master cylinder first, and then work your way in. If you do it that way, you're always going to come up with a nice clean system. You do it that way, you have a nice clean system when you're done, and shouldn't have any shouldn't have any dirt or contaminants in your system when you're complete. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, well that's it. Hope you guys learned something, found it useful, and make use of it in your own time. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks for watching Allison Customs Project Car TV. Like us on Facebook and check us out at AllisonCustomsOnline.com.